This is how to find a proper stretch in your hip flexor. The hip flexor is that tissue that kind of blends in with our quad here and really inserts up into this front of the hip bone. Obviously involved in sprinting, jumping, anything that primarily flexes the hip. This is a tissue that most people often complain about being tight. The typical stretch you'll see is something in the fashion of just leaning really far forward, maybe elevating the back foot, and really the only cue you mostly hear is just push as far forward as you can. The important part to remember is that the hip tissue attaches to this hip bone. So if you're moving forward and this hip bone's traveling as well, you have to think that that's like a rubber band, and if I want to stretch a rubber band, I have to keep one point still and move the other point away from it. If not, the band never actually stretches. So for this purpose, when we get into this position, start half kneeling, certainly keep something underneath your knee if you'd like to. Encourage a slight push forward of that shin, but then at the tail, instead of having the tail lifted to the ceiling, tuck the tail so it's tucking underneath and opening. And you should feel an immediate pull and a stretch on the high hip tissue. Okay, so keep the tail tucked and then you can start to move forward and search for a deeper stretch. However, you may be able to find a stretch almost completely upright if you tuck the tail enough. Hold this stretch for as long as you need to. Check out some of our other hip extension drills to incorporate and add in addition to this stretch.